Be Hero Bug Blaster is a fascinating concept that merges together a twin-stick shooter where you're flying around as a bee, going from room to room trying to clear the room of enemies before they kill you. Then under the hood, you've got a Diablo-like action RPG skill tree with 1,300 nodes on it that's entirely dynamic depending on the equipment that you equip to yourself. It's nuts, it's addictive, it's very Moorish, and I found myself losing hours to this game for what looks very simple on the surface, but has a lot of depth underneath. And so the two sides come together to create a really fantastic whole. Now, in Bee Hero Bug Blaster, you play as a titular bee, going around procedurally generated mini dungeons, and these dungeons will be filled of anywhere from like 5 to 7-ish rooms, and those rooms count as levels. And you can choose whether or not you want to clear them all, or to try and get like to an exit, or whether or not you want to clear one or two and then return back to your village, because as you clear and kill enemies, you'll earn XP, which might level up your bee. And that then allows you to go onto the skill tree to then progress throughout your skills. Now, in terms of actual movement and running around on the battlefield, it is literally move, shoot, and roll to escape. And when you're rolling around, you're invincible, but it does drain your stamina. And so you need to kind of think about when's the right time to try and get out of the way of something, or can you get yourself like pulled into a corner so that you can then like roll out of it at the last moment and escape. That can be very, very helpful because this game likes to throw loads of enemies flying at you at any one time, and the idea of this game is to overwhelm you rather than like make very, very tricky enemies tactically try and catch you out, if that makes sense. And so it's by sheer numbers of things that will kind of take you out. You do have the ability to equip 5 potions, but what's interesting in this game is that health replenishes slowly, so it's not an instant health kick. So you need to kind of trigger them early and hope that you still survive whilst it replenishes your health and you don't run into cumulative damage. The enemy variety is quite cool, and what you find is that some enemies will get introduced as one colour and then they'll start to upgrade and become harder versions of themselves with either more HP, more attack damage, or they'll go faster, or they'll start adding on extra attacks. And then every about 15, 20 odd levels or so, there's then a boss that gets introduced, which is normally an absolutely massive version of one of these regular folk. And they will then trigger like hundreds of their mini versions of themselves to come at you whilst you're trying to then kill the big bad boss as well. Now, you can choose whether or not you want to clear some of these levels and then get to the end, and then that will unlock the next batch, or whether or not you want to chip away at things, and this will give you upgrades through XP to then spend on your skill tree. But also, as you're going through all of this, you're collecting gems, and the two are interlinked. You equip gems, and there are 5 different slots relating to 5 different gem shapes, and these gems will have levels attached to them. They'll also have adjustments to your stats, so it could be adding an extra bullet or increasing your bullet damage, or it could ricochet off a wall, or it could be a poison one, or it could be that it has a bullet spreader, but it actually increases the damage of the bullet. So it might just be that it doesn't hit the exact target that you're firing at, for example. There's loads of different varieties, but they'll then also have shapes that come with additional symbols around the edges of the gems. And these dynamically change what is going on your skill tree. And so you'll need to think about what that's swapping some of your skill tree out for, and then using your XP that you've leveled up to then go and buy the things on the skill tree to lock them into place. Because when they're bought, they're then locked in, and it doesn't matter if you then swap that gem out for a different thing to then augment your skill tree again. You can keep kind of swapping in and out as you see fit. What's also really cool about the skill tree is that you'll start off at the beginning of the game picking from one of 5 different classes. But there's then another 9 classes that come out afterwards that you'll slowly unlock as you kill different bosses over time. And so you then get to pick not just from one skill tree, you'll have multiple that you can flick back and forth between, deciding whether you want to like invest in the gunslinger one, or whether you want to go for the assassin or the magician wizard. And each of those skill trees will lean into certain types of stats. So it could be that you boost your fire rate over your damage, or it could be that you have loads of extra bullets, but they're actually going to only shoot a certain amount of range and also be slightly weaker. It really depends. Then, because of your augmentations of your gems, you'll then have like spinning bullets, or ricochet off all bullets, or fire and ice bullets, poison bullets. There could be things where it's spinning bombs around you. It could be that you have spikes that will then fly out and spin around and send out like little mini clips around the place. All of these skills then get added on top, so long as you're unlocking them in your skill tree. But then, oh yes, there's another layer on top. Whenever you kill a boss, you then get given green gems, and these unlock some extra, what I'll call passive abilities, but they are actually things that will trigger, that can attack enemies or just boost your own personal stats depending on what you decide to unlock. And this is from a giant tree of all different things that you can potentially turn on or off. And the more you play Be Hero Bug Blaster, the more of these that you'll unlock, which then gives you more choice for how you want to lean into certain builds in the future. And it's the only thing that carries over from run to run to run. And it keeps you on your toes because it's a bit of a roulette wheel to see which one of 3 different options you'll pick from. But then it's unlocked for good, and you're thinking, right, well, next time when I kill a boss in a future run, say if you've died and you can't kind of keep going, you've then got something that might have been very, very useful to lock straight into as soon as you clear your first boss and get the gems to then buy one of these extra abilities on top of what else you're unlocking on your skill tree. Alongside that, there is also a shop for buying potions, buying and selling your gems, and also augmenting your gems as well. So you can try and steer some of that skill tree dynamism, I guess, of your skill tree. Get your English dictionary out, Simon. So that you can then try and steer things how you want. But I have to say, I've really enjoyed the total chaos of seeing my skill tree like switch in and out constantly as I was swapping in and out my gems and leveling them up through getting better ones as I was leveling up too. I'm hoping that makes some kind of sense as I explain it alongside the gameplay, because it turns Be Hero Bug Blaster into this ever increasing, incremental to a degree, loop of just getting a better character, but also having the challenge coming at you back because the enemies are getting more plentiful, but also stronger and faster and more cleverer as they start to have more attacks to be throwing at you. And so it really pitches itself beautifully to be a game that you could choose to hang back and grind for a bit so that you can stay a few levels ahead of what you unlock. But even then, you've still got to get good to be able to survive things, because you've only got 4 lives, and once you've lost them all, it is GG, good night, game over. I had a blast with this game, thoroughly recommended. This is a game that looks really unassuming and quite simple on the surface, but underneath is a absolute skill tree heaven for anyone that likes to fiddle around with things, try out different ideas and have happy accidents, Bob Ross style, with how you unlock and progress your character over time. This is a superb mashup of ideas, and it gets a 2 hearty thumbs up and recommendation from me.